How's the product development going?
Not too bad. That's slow because I do it in my free time, but uh yeah, it's coming along. I've got like the the POS app and the user facing app are um at least like in a various stages of like functionality, so I can at least put in an order. I'm not like all of the bells and whistles for an order, but I got an order going in. I'm working more on like the um restaurant facing side of putting it like doing the admin of like creating a menu, adding photos and like arranging your like layout in the app and whatnot. So
That sounds good.
um
Progress.
yeah.
Moonlighting the
Yeah.
project.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's it's coming along. So,
that's good. Progress.
yeah, yeah.
Hi, Paul. Welcome.
Hi, thank you. Sorry I'm late.
That's okay.
So,
We're kind of giving a couple minutes to see who struts in.
cool.
So tell us about yourself, Paul. Where are you at and what do you do?
I'm in the wonderful city of Los Angeles, which is sprawling. If you guys haven't been here, I'm not sure where everybody's from. So I'm beach cities. So probably not what you think of when you think of LA. I am a brand strategist and copywriter. I come from the copy world and just been mutating more and more into the brand strategy aspect of it. Um, that's about it. Wife,
Awesome.
daughter,
You
bunch
have
of animals.
owls, you said?
Animals.
Animals.
Animals. We have four chickens. We now have a kitten and we've got a dog.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And how old's your daughter?
She is 14, going to be 15.
That's great. I have two daughters, 14
Nice.
going on 15 and 18 going on 19.
Nice. Are they thinking, well, one already in university or
She leaves in 3 weeks.
wow.
I'm
How are you
fine.
doing
I'm,
that?
I'm fine. I'm fine.
You've got the other.
I've got the other one still for a couple more years.
We always joke with our friends who have two kids. It's like, you've got a spare.
Mhm.
Suck it up.
Right. So we're going to go ahead and get started, but Paul, I want to ask you just for some insight because I always try to bring my examples or my factoids into relatability to who's in the room.
Mhm.
So, as a brand strategist and copywriter, is it your own business or are you working for a company? Or tell me what that structure looks like.
I'm more of a consultant. Over the past 20 years, I have gone in-house for agencies and also for different brands. But generally, I'll be there for anywhere from 2 to 5 years, and then I'll go back into the consultant thing. So I was just in-house with a tech company back in November, and then got downsized right before bonuses, and I was vetted for my shares. Surprise.
Oh,
Yeah, like it would have been next month, the next month. So that was a little bit of an annoyance, but back into the consulting world, I always made sure I kept one foot in. My model has always been I work with a lot of design firms and marketing firms, and I've always given them kind of that product extension, whereas they're more design focused. I come in with the messaging, the conceptual, the big idea kind of thing, which allows them to compete against, agencies that have that. Um, so that's kind of where I'm at now. Um, the market to me seems a little different this time. Everything, the run up for everything is taking forever. So I've got a whole bunch of projects lined up, but it's like, oh yeah, kickoffs next month, which I've been hearing for months and months and months. And even we'll go through phases, and it's like, okay, now we wait for the approval. So it's like phase one gets completed and then waiting for approval, then that drags out. I don't know if you guys have been finding that too.
I have. I mean, I work with nonprofits primarily, and it's been very difficult the last 6 months. Um, I will share with you. So as office hours, it's open, right? But I do have like a factoid to share, and then I'll have Dylan share his project that he's doing. Um, I want to share with you a group that you might be interested in checking out, considering what you do. It's called the Creatives Roundtable. It started in 2012. I started it and called it the Designers Roundtable, where a bunch of us freelancers were going to the How Design Live conference every year
Mhm.
and started as an accountability mastermind group to help independent creative entrepreneurs do better business. Over the 5 years that I ran it, it grew and grew and grew, became international, and now I handed it off to Nancy. Nancy now is handing it off to another member. But it's really full of all kinds of creatives from web to copy to branding to package to illustrators to writers. It might be a really great space for you to connect with other folks in our industry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know there's a plethora of coaching services and mentoring things. I signed up for one that I haven't done anything, the marketing mentor.
Oh, Elise
Uh,
Bennon. Yep. So
yeah, so
she's incredible. So just to clarify, this isn't coaching, this is accountability, right? This is having someone support you and cheer you on for whatever direction you're trying to go. And what I witnessed over the 5 years that I ran it and had about five active groups of 10 people each was I think maybe one or two times in the 5 years did someone come to the meeting and say, they did not do what they said they were going to do. They might have done it the night before, the other one, but they still got it done. So there's this incredible power of writing out your goals, saying your goals, and then having someone catch you on them and say, you know, so what's up with that thing you said you were going to do? So so it's pretty cool. Elise Bennon, I've known her since 2011-ish. We've collaborated on a few things. She was one of my speakers in Nashville at a retreat that I held for the Designers Roundtable, and she is actually my personal marketing business coach today. So she's awesome. Okay, so Dylan, why don't you just for context share with Paul the project that you're working on in which Marketing Office Hours has been a resource outlet for you.
Yeah, sure. So I'm a software engineer by uh, trade or training. Um, I'm working on an app for small like restaurants, cafes, that is a combination of, say, Shopify, DoorDash, and Grubhub. Um, so it's a POS app, a back of house kitchen display system, and a customer facing ordering app plus a courier or like delivery driver app that manages orders coming in from the user on their phone, the kiosk in the cafe, the cash register, um, at the coffee bar or whatever. All those orders get delivered to either whoever's doing the production for those items, coffee bar or kitchen in the back. And then when those orders are ready, then there's a whole, get a delivery person to come pick it up and deliver it to the user experience. Um, so I'm building out this suite of apps and this platform that I have uh, in development, and I'm now faced with the challenge of trying to get it out to find like some pilot restaurants who want to get on it to be my first customers to get their menus content on it. And then get some delivery people to participate in it and get this little like community going here. So I live in Erie with Jenny. So there are some cafes here that I might be able to approach. I have some connections to an amusement park that is interested in a deliver to your seat kind of thing. And I was just at the Seawolves game for um, John Oliver and just wishing I had the same experience while I was, sitting in my seat there too. Um, so yeah, so I'm just trying to get ideas for and get organized for once this app is done, going out into the market and trying to um, acquire some restaurants to get on it and try it out.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing, Dylan. So the structure of marketing office hours is our quick intro, and then I have a little factoid to share with you guys, and then you're free to ask me any kinds of questions, whether related to the factoid I'm sharing or anything else. It's time for you to pick my brain. So I'm gonna go ahead and share screen and just share with you a quick little thing. So today, what I thought we'd talk about is personas, or who are your ideal target audiences? Who are you trying to attract so that you can get your messaging and your spends on point. And so it's all about being intentional. It used to be back in the day, even 10 years earlier, that you could just purchase a mass media of any kind of channel and do a big wash of a message and see what sticks. But anymore now, you can be very hyper targeted to the audiences you're trying to get in front of. And so the more targeted you can get, the more investment your investment will increase the exposure. So often I've seen really startups and DIY business owners really at a low accuracy, low precision of who their target audience is because they believe everybody needs their service and everybody wants it and everybody needs it, so they got to tell everybody. But they don't have the spend to do that. The more narrow you can get between these two, the more your spend will be more impactful. So before I go into personas, I thought I would share with you two little things here. One, this is actually at my maintenance garage here in Erie, and I'm sure you all have seen this before, but this is so pivotal even in marketing, right? You can't have fast and good, it won't be cheap, right? You can't get cheap and fast, it won't be good. So you have to pick two. What two things are you willing to do with your investment? And when I talk about investment and budget with my other workshops clients, investment means time and or money. If you don't have the money, you have to be able to pony up the time. And if you don't have the time, you have to be able to pony up the money. That always leads into I'm not sure how much money to spend, which we've talked about in other office hours. But what I want to try to dig into just a little bit today, because this is a complex chart, is the more precise you can get, it helps you refine what type of marketing channels, advertising channels to invest in. So what this metrics is showing is the level of investment to the reach of exposure. So higher investments, wider exposures are on this end of the metrics. Lower the budget and tighter the exposure is on this side of the metrics. So right in the middle, we have OTT, which is over the top. It's streaming video. There's also CTV and other means of streaming your commercial across all kinds of different devices and arenas. SEO, which I'm sure everybody's have heard of by now. Display ads, paid social, website, print ads. This all kind of can go into that zone of precision targeting and maximizing investment. Low end investment, but high exposure are things like texting, email marketing, referral marketing, strategic outreach, networking, content development. But all of those things are time based as well. So you can see my color code over here. We have dollars, dollars and time, and time. So it just helps kind of paint the picture of, I feel like, and the clients I've met always want to go right to TV, radio, and billboards. But those are your highest investments, the highest exposure, with not so quick of a return. So, depending on where you're at in your goal setting for your business, how aggressive you're trying to grow, how aggressive you're trying to meet your goals, using this kind of metrics and targeting can help you align what type of marketing you should invest in. So, how do we get precision targeting? It comes with figuring out who the right people are so you can craft the right message so that you can put it in the right places. And all that means is we have to define who you're talking to. Who are the ideal customers? What kind of leads are you trying to fill into the pipeline? Maybe you're trying to just build brand advocates or build or connect with strategic partners, or maybe you're trying to hire and fill your team. Whoever you're trying to talk to, they have a different metrics of characteristics. And that's what my perfect people builder worksheet will do. In it, you can align what their sales funnel is, what type of buyer they are, their demographics and psychographics, as well as identifying their top greatest challenges, needs, and wants. All that to be said will help you curate with your vendors the best way to hyper target that specific type of buyer. So what you say, and I'm as Paul in here is a copywriter, because probably is like I'm preaching to the choir here, but what you say matters, but where it matters and where it matters most. So when you understand your ideal buyer, you can do the things you're trying to do. Maybe it's promoting an event, putting your ads in the right places of where your buyers will actually see you. Maybe nurture first time and build repeat customers. So that would be your database, and etc. So you have to really think about what you're trying to do and whom you're trying to do it for. And this perfect people builder is such a great tool. It'll fuel not only your sales team in setting some sales goals, it'll also fill your strategic outreach initiatives. But what I use it for the most are two things. One, my digital ad vendors, who they want to know all the psychographics and demographics involved with the kind of buyers we're trying to get in front of. That depth of detail will help them place whatever kind of digital ad product in front of the right people, whether it's Meta and Google ads, or if it's streaming video, or if it's Google business profile, local SEO, um, a whole spectrum of tools. But I fill this out first for my clients, and then I hand this off to my digital provider and say, okay, based on who we're trying to get in front of and the sales goals that we've have aligned for this buyer, what are the best types of ad products that I should use in order to get in front of the right people with this set amount of budget? And they're able to come back to me with the best mega mix. This is a reverse way of how owners are working direct with vendors. What I've seen anyway, owners might go to vendor or vendors going right to owner and saying, "Hey, we have this cool thing, you should do it." And owner's like, "Okay, well you're the boss, I'll follow your lead." This gives the owner some power now and negotiating power to say, "Well, these are the people I'm trying to get in front of, and this is the budget I have to do it with. So now you tell me what kind of omni-channel mix you have in order to reach those people." So that's my quick factoid for today of just understanding who your buyers are. And so someone like Dylan, we've talked about you have two different tracks. You have
Mhm.
your B2B of targeting your restaurants, cafe owners. That's a different message, and it's a different arena of where they will see your message. And then there's just the straight consumer, which is a bigger mix of people. And so
Yep.
you have now the two different types of audiences, and you can set your different ad budgets accordingly.
The users though are um the targeting there is dependent on the restaurants that I recruit because it's then whichever set of restaurants I have, it's the set of people who are potential customers of that restaurant, either in the delivery radius, like geographically, um, in the same venue. So if it's the amusement park or like baseball stadium or whatever, then it's the people inside of that, arena. Um, Which so that's great because that gives me like, a confined space to be like, these are the people. Um, if it's the food hall down here, then it's everybody that's like within walking distance, or I guess whatever the delivery person radius is of it. Um, which would give me like, a geographic area anyway to like target users.
Right. So the geographic would be a great digital. They used to call it geofencing. I don't even think that's
Right.
a
Yeah.
thing anymore, really. But now on boots on the ground is now you have the opportunity of what signage you can capitalize on, what
Mhm.
digital tools the baseball field is using, what communications is the baseball field sending out to ticket holders that you can piggyback off of. Is it I don't do they still do paper tickets at that baseball field?
It's eerie. I
I think
assume
It's an
somebody gets
yeah,
option, I think.
paper.
One thing that you should do is you're looking at your primary audience. You should be looking at your secondary and any tertiary audiences as well, because you talked about the fact that, your direct business relationship is with business owners, but then you've got the wider community. So you're trying to create that conversation. But after identifying who your various publics are, there's the big question of why they should care. What are you doing better? And what value are they going to get from you? And that's the
Hmm.
conversations you want to have. And then when you're messaging, because we can do all the targeting we want, and they used to talk about something called the rule of sevens, which is basically you have to hit somebody over the head 7 times before they remember you. So one message isn't going to do it. You need to have that persistence and consistency of conversation. But then it's like, okay, well, what are those conversations you're having? I always talk about it being like, what are your messaging pillars? And start to think about what are the different conversations you want to have. Is it ease of use? Do they get more sortability through your app? Are they able to put in preferences like vegetarianism, gluten-free, meat lover, they want Brazilian barbecue, those kind of things that we see in the current things. Is it geofence? Is it I'm looking in this particular neighborhood? Is it something that they can do? Is there some sort of secret sauce to it where it's like, I want to go on a culinary adventure or some sort of adventure, and I'm going from here to here, and you're able to put in, a trip thing. I'm like, my wife, daughter, and I went on a little Northern California journey, and we hit a bunch of different cities one day each. But if we'd be able to have something where it's like you could put in and it would give suggestions due to our preferences for I'm gluten-free and a vegetarian. So it's like if we had that for Davis, Fresno, SLO, Mill Valley, San Francisco, which were all the cities we hit, that would be really cool and would have saved a lot of time, as opposed to rolling into time and into town and calling up Yelp and checking each individual one. So that kind of what's your added value? Why should they choose you over something else?
Yeah, I think that was stuff we touched on in previous office hours,
Oh, okay.
where like messaging and stuff like that. Um, yeah, the I don't do since that's a different topic, do we want to stay on this topic, or we could go into that?
we can go into that. It's fine.
Uh, um,
Whatever would help you, Dylan, because this seems to be hitting some zones for you for right now.
yeah, sure.
Usually on a creative brief, we talk about there being a test of who you're talking to, why they should care, and what behavior you want them to change.
Yeah. Yeah, so who we're talking to is I'm uh to start, I'm focused on very specific like small communities of um restaurants and cafes that may not currently have order ahead capabilities or delivery capabilities. Um, the food hall locally here is a good example of that. They currently do have order ahead. It's okay. They have no delivery options except for Grubhub and DoorDash. And that's an easy, so um, that's an incumbency that would have to get overcome, but that's a pretty easy one to argue because Grubhub and DoorDash take the entire profit from every order that goes through their system. and they also claim the customer so that the restaurants don't get to market to those people again. Um, and so going to those restaurants saying, "Hey, if we can make this here's a better alternative. It'll make you more money. It'll be more streamlined because if we can capture all the ordering channels and funnel them through one pipeline into your operations, then you'll be happier. Your staff will be happier. You can manage resources better. Yada yada yada." Um, and it'll make the customer happy because we can make a better interface than a more customized interface than Grubhub and DoorDash are offering you. Um, and we can also then, if the secret sauce that we have here is that it can work with some various organizations in downtown Erie that would allow us to kind of make this a very small delivery area, which means that we could offer delivery within like 10 minutes instead of the like hour that DoorDash and Grubhub take right now. Especially here because they're all drivers and they all are all over the county. So yeah, it takes forever for one to show up and get you your food. Um, so all these benefits that we can offer to these uh, restaurants and whatnot. There are a few coffee shops that don't have order ahead or delivery right now that could get on it. Uh, and then the main one would be anyone opening a new restaurant or a new cafe because then they don't have the incumbency. So that would be an easier pitch, hopefully for them to want to try us. That's that customer. And the reason for them to try us out. The behavior change is to invest in a little bit of hardware, like an old iPad is all they need, like to have a kiosk and whatever, or the kitchen display system. They'd have to invest in that and then try it out a little bit on as a toy, and then want to train their whole staff on the new interface and how to work with it, which is admittedly a big lift. Um, but I think it's a profitable enough one that they might be willing to do that, especially if I can make the interface easy and intuitive for their staff and other stakeholders. Um, yeah, so that was that. Their behavior change. If I get a couple of restaurants on the platform and get that set up, probably the easiest thing to do ahead of time is order ahead for a few of them and actually have it not integrated fully, but as a side standalone side little thing that just brings in order ahead orders. And have that set up. Then that's content that would be in the user-facing app, and then it's going out into the community and trying to convince them to get the app, download it, and order from these restaurants. And the message there is the targeting there is we have to find the customers of that restaurant that jumped on the platform because they want that product that from that restaurant. And so the message then is like, hey, don't if you had the app, you wouldn't be standing in line here. Um, and you could order ahead, or you could have ordered 10 minutes ago and been picking it up right now. It would be ready for you. So it's like finding the places in their um, behavior where like that message would resonate with them. If it's the like amusement park or baseball park or hockey arena, then there are plenty of lines where we could just have the sign like download the app, order ahead, pick it up right over there. Um, and yeah, and that would be, the QR code. They do that, whatever, and they would be a customer then. And then once they have the app, then we have all of the push notifications and stuff that we could be sending them over time and yada yada. So
And it's not a white label product, right? Like it's not they
could be.
branded. Could be. Okay.
Yeah, it's designed for that. The A bit of a harder pitch that I'm considering is this like is better for the community. like by everybody switching over to this platform and trying to get all of us off of DoorDash and Grubhub because 'cause those systems are highly exploitive and are sucking money out of our community. They're destroying the restaurants. They're giving you a terrible delivery experience. So we should switch to that. Um, just as
You
a community or switch away from that as a community and try and do something better. Um,
you know, a lot of municipalities and state levels are having a hard time with revenue. Could that be something that you could pitch to like the municipal level, like talk to the city about it, where it becomes, you know,
mm.
this town's own system? Because you get
Yeah,
civic
that's
marketing.
so the food hall here is run by, or at least the real estate's run by a corporation that is like a partnership with the city called the Downtown Development Corporation. Um, So they're a for-profit, but they're like kind of a quasi like association with the government here. There's also another organization called the Erie Downtown Partnership that has all the businesses here are members that are inside this like radius for it. And the combination of those two organizations are where the initial delivery people will hopefully come from, if I get this off the ground. And so then they would just be delivering to the area of the Erie Downtown Partnership. And so that is, those two areas have like ties to the local government and whatever. And so just plugging into that feels, their opportunities are there, I guess is.
Yeah, that would be really, I find that compelling. Having that civic pride, especially if it's, giving back to the community aspect of it, um,
Yeah.
that's a real,
I
real
would,
potential.
yeah, so like I have to build in a payment processor to the platform, or well, multiple ones because I want the restaurants to bring their own payment processors if they want to. But I would love to partner with a banking institution that has all the proper licensing to handle transfers and a local one so that all the customers who get on the app get an account essentially that is their like instead of doing basically it's the reloadable debit card in the app like the Starbucks card kind of thing. And that would by giving everyone an account and doing the transfers through there, then we would avoid the payment processor fee. And if the bank would, then if it's all just funds in the local bank, then the funds stay local. I mean, the bank, pulls out their whatever their fig, but if it's a local bank, then theoretically it all kind of stays in the community. If we could work that out, but
By bank, you include credit unions.
Um, yeah, if they could do it.
Yeah.
And they have, I mean, I'd have to build probably some APIs into their software because as far as I can tell, credit unions have pretty bad software. And I don't
Usually,
know if,
well, yeah, it's they are created on a different charter. So they have
mm,
different protections as well. But again, they're community focused, which could align with what you've been talking about.
yeah, maybe.
So
Um,
I don't know how many local banks there are. They get swallowed up pretty quickly.
there's two that there's the one that's like a savings and loan essentially that does a lot of mortgages here. There's another one that just opened up near us and I don't know how big or whatever, but there is a actually pretty well established credit union here that has like, um, yeah, opened up. It was like, just for teachers and now it's like everybody in the community can be a part of it. Yeah. So yeah, that's an option. But I think that could also come later as we get more established too. So yeah.
That could make an incredible partner in that. Again, when we
Yeah.
start about personas in regards to who you can target towards, if you're talking about like if you build it with the idea of a community bank or a credit union or something like that, that gives you a whole narrow niche for messaging and for targeting for your lead.
Yeah. And I
So
think that's a message that can replicate to other like towns of this size or even bigger. Like eh, Pittsburgh's like the nearest one to us, or technically Cleveland is. And maybe I don't know how big Key Bank is in Ohio or where their headquarters is. Pittsburgh has the national headquarters for PNC Bank, so they're a national, like the fifth largest bank in the country or something. So that would probably, if they partnered, then I don't know if that's necessarily like keeping it local to Pittsburgh. But like basically the idea is like to have like this delivery only for like very targeted to like here's Erie's like delivery system, and it's for civic pride and we're doing what good for Erie, and then like spinning up an instance that is just for like Pittsburgh or for Buffalo, Cleveland, or Allentown or Columbus, Ohio, or whatever, and just saying like here's the like local thing for them, um, and branding it as such for each of these communities. Um,
So to kind of
but,
turn that back around to the advertising and where you place it, in the
mm,
variety of places to get to Paul's, and I love everything Paul said. What I'm looking at more is the investment and where to put the messaging. We haven't gotten to messaging yet for you, right? It's been because you're developing it still and beta testing it, but it's more about how are you going to invest in the advertising, because consumers are not going to be paying your company for the software. The buyer, the restaurants are going to be. And so one of the examples I gave before was, for instance, the Applebee's franchise. When you own a part of that franchise, you're paying into an ad budget in which they are doing the advertising to consumers. And
mm,
so to have to think about what's the price strategy or the money strategy around consumers download the app for free, and the restaurant pays a set amount or probably a subscription to the software. So, what percentage of that will go back into marketing so that you can go towards those consumers? But that's phase two. Phase one is getting in front of the restaurant so you can get them into your ecosystem to get the engine going. And so then that might be venture capitalist or funding sources or something. And Brian Slaywin of the Ben Franklin Tech Partners, he and I, when we've done similar talks, he'll say project your projected revenue. You should plan for 50% of that to go towards marketing. So that it all goes back to you got to know who you're trying to talk to, what kind of money you have to talk to them so that you can put it in the right places while folks like Paul are writing the awesome content and doing the brand strategy to implement through
mhm.
those channels. So, all things to think about as you or any company is building a product or service to go to market, to do some projections of what revenue will be. So that A, you have the startup fund for marketing and advertising, but B, so you can plan an ongoing ad budget going forward.
Yeah, yeah,
We have
yeah.
10 minutes left. So, are there any other questions in regards to knowing your buyers so that you can capitalize on ad placement and marketing investments?
I could actually probably come up with a few, but I have to run. I'm late for my other meeting
Okay.
actually. So yeah,
All right.
sorry
Thanks so
about
much,
that. Yeah,
Dylan. And I'll see you
yep,
downtown
yep,
soon.
yep. Later.
Later.
Hi.
Hi, Paul.
Hope I didn't talk too much there, but
No, it's great. I mean, he's just not there yet, right? He's still developing the thing and just starting some conversation with some prospective restaurants. And so it's like there's so much ahead of that.
yeah, well, it sounds like he's still developing the infrastructure, what his offer is going to be as well. So, the funding sources and stuff like that. But yeah, it's a really cool idea.
Right, especially that local spin on it, which, I don't know LA. But Erie is like the big small town. Our county is like 200,000 people, and our city, which he and I are at, is like 95,000 people. And we're in this circle of Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Buffalo. So we're kind of like the central connector to the big cities. Um, so it's very community.
Yeah. Well, LA, like official LA is 500 square miles, but then there's also 56 other communities that have it has grown around. So, like, I'm in the city of Alameda, which is 100,000 people. You've got Manhattan Beach, Santa Monica, Venice, Redondo, Torrance, San Pedro, Wilmington, Harbor City. All these ones, like, if you drive along, you're like, LA is huge, but it's because there's so many different cities and they do have their own, you know, mayors, they have their own chamber of commerces and stuff like that. So they do have that community pride in regards to, oh, I'm a Torrance resident or I'm a
Oh,
Alameda
sure.
resident. So,
Territorial.
yeah, to a degree. So I
Mhm.
could totally see that playing well here, especially with, I think there's a sentiment against the big banks and stuff like that.
Right.
So who knows?
So, what kinds of experiences have you had in um, spreading out an ad budget in order to get in front of the right people?
Um, well, I'm not. I've worked with media buyers, and it's funny because I've worked at agencies and what have you. And when it comes to the buying thing, we will talk about like normally I come in with the big idea, we identify what we're doing, and then we can say, okay, here's some ideas for how that big idea execution can be applied. Here's idea for digital media. Here's an idea for traditional, website stuff like that. Where we build those things out. It's like, okay, we cover the basics. Make sure you have your pitch decks, your websites, your order funnel structure in place and stuff like that. And then it's like the mass outreach things. So, but I've worked with big clients, small clients, tech startups, all over the place.
So, I'm going to kind of just, because this is open hours, right? So we can
Totally.
talk
And
about
it's just
it.
you and I, so.
It is, and I hope you notice that it is recorded and then I put it on my
Yeah.
marketing office hours page. Okay, so I just want to
Okay.
preface that so that, and it's on the YouTube. The YouTube, that sounded like your
Yes.
grandma's way of saying, but, um, just to say if there's anything private, we
Okay.
can cut it out.
I know.
Um, I'm curious because we're in the similar space and do
Hmm.
a similar sort of thing, sort of. How do you you're the big idea guy. You
Yeah.
come up with the big idea that's going to help the company, organization, number, whatever it is. How do you sell that so that the business is prepared to um, shift how things are happening internally in order to fulfill that big idea?
Well, a lot of it comes down to creating a conversation and creating the engagement. So we look at who the client is, what they offer, what kind of interaction they're having with their clientele or what they want to have. So sometimes it's not necessarily shifting the way they do it. Sometimes it is discovering new potential markets. But the big idea is like, again, it's like the why they should care. And it can play out in a whole bunch of different ways. I'll get sometimes hired for, we're working on a website, doing a rebrand or something like that. And it's like, okay, well, here's the big idea. But then it's like, you could also, how this big idea could play out. You could do, TV campaign, you could do a viral, you could do guerrilla advertising, you could do placements, stuff like that, like installations. So, and then it comes down to, like you're saying about the media buy, where it's like, okay, there's the objective versus just a percentage of spend. So for some, you mentioned like a 50% of what their budget needs to be for marketing. Sometimes ad campaigns, they'll do like 10% of revenue or something like that. Or they'll say, we want to create this amount of new revenue. In order to create that amount of revenue, we need to have this kind of spend. But
Right. And I'm with you on all of that. I guess what I've experienced in the last few years, especially since COVID, is that the big idea often means they have to shift internally, meaning they have to now understand the new message and make sure they're following through on the message, that their CRM or sales strategy is ready and locked in and prepared to take the influx of new inquiries. They have to be ready to measure what happens to those lead and inquiries in order for marketing to say, yeah, we did it. And
Mhm.
and the companies that I've been hitting the last few years, that's a very hard thing to do. They like the big idea, but then they freeze in that they have the oh crap moment. We have to make sure our team is ready for this big idea because this is a big shift from how we have done things before. So that's the part that I mean of how do you help them get ready for the big idea and the results that it can have.
That's not really where I kind of fall in. That's more of their internal, having their sales departments and stuff like that. So I'm not that side. I'm on the more on the brand building and strategy side of it. So for that, they would just scale up how they would scale up naturally.
So it sounds
But
like you're working with bigger companies.
often, yeah.
Yeah. So mine are very small, small to
Hmm.
mid-size, maybe have a team of 10,
Hmm.
maybe have one salesperson, maybe have one or two HR people that are already overworked and now I'm going to give them more applications to try to process. It's a hard thing for people to scale when they're small, but they want to scale. And that's not a zone I help in, right? I want to be able to point them to the business coach or the strategic consultant to help them operationally, right?
Hmm.
But that's the kind of audience that I've been attracting the last 5 or so years. And then that's proven to be challenging because I'll have the big ideas in which I need the robust sales team who's ready to execute the big idea and the ad spend.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I do work with some smaller ones, but yeah, generally that's kind of not that's outside of my purview.
Sure.
They understand, like I'm working with a nonprofit right now and we're talking about, the different audiences they have. They've got volunteers, they've got donors, they've got the grantees that they're working with. And they understand that they're going to be getting more interaction. And a lot of that comes down to identifying and trying to have better processes in place, like making sure that you've got the contact forms in place, you have a definitive call to action that can go to specific people, creating auto forwarders. So,
Right.
if they go into it and it's a press inquiry, it goes to the right person. An exercise we have is trying to identify who the subject matter experts are on various things. So if there are some friction points or if there's an inquiry about a certain topic, they can come to it, get to the right person faster and try and get some automations there. Creating things again when you tap into the subject matter experts, and this is something I learned when I was working with Experian. A good public relations team having canned responses, having things in place where it's like, okay, we've got if this situation happens, we have the press releases keyed up. We have who's going to respond. You've got the danger aspect of it, and a lot of cybersecurity companies will have that as well, where it's if there's an incursion, what's your response plan?
Sure. Yeah.
So,
Awesome. Well, do you have any questions for me?
I think I'm good on an open forum.
Sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, thanks for joining today. I hope it was at least you learned a little something about the East Coast little small groups. Um, and hope we'll see you at the final one next week.
All right. Nice chatting with you.
Nice to meet you and have a great day.
Sounds great.
Bye
Bye.
bye.